Charlton Heston, once the commanding face of Hollywood epics, spent his final years far removed from the spotlight that had defined most of his life. Known for leading roles in cinematic giants like Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments, and Planet of the Apes, Heston's legacy seems sealed as one of film history's most iconic figures. But behind the legendary image, the final chapters of his life unfolded in quiet isolation, marked by personal battles, deteriorating health, and growing public controversy. In 2002, Charlton Heston publicly announced that he had symptoms consistent with Alzheimer's disease. The statement, delivered through a videotaped message, was brief and direct. At that moment, the man who had once portrayed Moses and Judah Ben-Hur acknowledged a future where memory, clarity, and independence would fade. His diagnosis was not entirely unexpected to those close to him, but the formal admission confirmed the long-speculated decline in his mental health. From that point forward, his appearances became increasingly rare, and his public presence all but disappeared. What many did not know was how drastically the disease would change his daily life. Those once close to him reported that the actor slowly withdrew from public engagements, social events, and professional relationships. As the condition progressed, Heston's communication became limited. He spent most of his time at home, away from cameras, press, and fans. His once powerful voice and sharp intellect, hallmarks of his public persona, were gradually silenced by the effects of Alzheimer's. Heston's family maintained privacy around the extent of his condition. His wife, Lydia Clark, whom he had married in 1944 and remained with until his death, became his primary caretaker during those final years. Despite their long and steady marriage, the burden of care fell heavily on her, especially as the disease advanced. Friends and former colleagues spoke of the loyalty and devotion she showed, but also of the toll it took. Visitors were infrequent, and access to Heston was restricted to only the closest inner circle. Adding to the complexity of his final years was his controversial public persona. Heston had become president of the National Rifle Association in 1998, and his famous speech ending with "From my cold, dead hands" placed him at the center of America's gun control debate. While his supporters viewed him as a staunch defender of constitutional rights, critics saw him as a divisive figure. As his health declined, so too did his involvement with the NRA, though his affiliation remained a defining aspect of how he was remembered in his final years. Some in the industry distanced themselves. Others continued to respect him for his cinematic contributions, but chose to remain silent on his political views. During his career, Heston had been known for his discipline, physicality, and mental resilience. Yet, in his last years, these traits eroded slowly. He required assistance with basic tasks. He no longer recognized many of the people who had been part of his life for decades. For a man who once portrayed gods and generals, the reality of cognitive decline was a stark contrast. Heston had played heroes who defied the odds, characters who overcame every obstacle. In real life, he faced a disease for which there was no script, no dramatic resolution, and no public redemption arc. He died on April 5, 2008, at the age of 84, at his home in Beverly Hills. The official statement did not specify the exact cause, though it was widely understood to be complications related to Alzheimer's. His death was quiet and largely removed from the public eye. It marked the end of not only a Hollywood career, but also a personal battle fought far from the cameras and applause. The final years of Charlton Heston's life revealed a man shaped by fame, altered by illness, and remembered through a complex lens of achievement, ideology, and decline. His legacy remains, but the truth behind his final years exposes a side of his story rarely seen. One defined not by epic battles on screen, but by a slow retreat into silence.